Somebody's watching me and my anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I feel it trying, keep it trying, keep it trying. Oh, I feel the silence, keep it quiet, keep it quiet. Oh, somebody's watching me, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I feel anxiety. Somebody's watching me and my anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I feel it trying, keep it trying, keep it trying. Oh, I feel the silence, keep it quiet, keep it quiet. Oh, somebody's watching me, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I feel anxiety.
Sperm put us in a barn, us and pigs on a Mississippi farm. In 9 months we'll have a kid you won't care about. And if the kid's not straight, white, male, we guarantee a living hell. Murder in the name of a loving God. Our women are cattle, there's blood on our kids. Are you being paid to not pay attention? Does it have to happen to your mother, to your sister, or your daughter for you to take it personal?
No way. Oh my God! 3 fingers. Genuinely zero effort.
Yep.
Broken. There it goes. The whole just ripped off.
Somebody's watching me and my anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I feel it trying, keep it trying, keep it trying. Oh, I feel the silence, keep it quiet, keep it quiet. Oh, somebody's watching me, anxiety, anxiety. Oh, I feel anxiety.
Watching the speech last night here in Indiana, might have been a little surprised with what the president had to say about Honda.
Already, numerous car companies have announced that they will be building massive automobile plants in America, with Honda just announcing a new plant in Indiana, one of the largest anywhere in the world.
Well, Honda already does have a plant in Indiana, in Greensburg. It's been producing vehicles since 2008. We contacted Honda today about what the president had to say about a new plant. In a statement, a Honda spokesperson thanked the president for recognizing the company's commitment to making cars in America, but also pointed out Honda did not announce plans for a new plant in Indiana or anywhere in the U.S. at this time.
This is one of the darkest things I've ever read in history, and it's about Columbus meeting the natives. In his letters, he writes, "They are very simple and honest and exceedingly liberal with all they have, none of them refusing anything he may possess when he is asked for it. They exhibit great love towards all others in preference to themselves." He says, "They are the best people in the world and above all the gentlest, without knowledge of what is evil, nor do they murder or steal. They love their neighbors as themselves, and they have the sweetest talk in the world, always laughing." After saying all that, he then writes, "They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want." Is that not the most brutal thing you've ever heard? Like, I just don't understand how we got to that point as humans.
1973 is pretty much the high point of the American empire. For those of you who hadn't figured it out, we've been in decline for 50 years. 1973 was our apex, was our height. The distance from the poorest person to the richest person was really, really low. And it was a time of innovation. We landed on the moon. That wasn't a bad thing to do. Think of how primitive the computers were. They were so awful that they had to hire mathematicians to double check the results from the computers because they knew the computers weren't reliable. They could get you the answer quickly, but they couldn't get it to you accurately. They were black women. We put them in back rooms. Don't worry, nobody had to know about it. And I have to tell you, I have a steady stream of students who've just basically never held an idea in their brains in their lives. And they can barely read, and they can't do math. It's not a thing.
Catholicism comes sailing across the ocean, and Jamestown gets set up in 1607. My family arrives in 1617, 10 years later. And so my family's been here for 400 years. And the first things we did when we set up Jamestown was start putting up giant picket fortress fences.
Yeah.
North America had been thriving with 620 nations for 40,000 years without a fence. Without a fence.
Yeah.
620 nations collaborating together through natural law. That was the most advanced form of governance that the world had seen. The Iroquois had really mastered this wisdom, and there was a council of women that crossed many, many nations in their sourcing, and the council of women would resolve conflict between nations through deep meditation and fellowship to one another, and they would come up with basically statesmanship decisions to resolve conflict. And so we had natural law running for 40,000 years, 600 nations, and then we come in with divine law through this royalty thing, and it justified destruction of everything. And so it was the belief that we are waiting for some external God to work through us with wisdom and save us or provide for us, rather than realizing that nature is an expression of the divine. Nature is an expression of the universe that would be abundant to everything that would end up there.
No, this is him throwing his heart out there. This is something entirely different, and you know it.
Revolutions seem to be about poor people overthrowing the rich. Do you think billionaires like Elon Musk should be worried about getting guillotined?
I think that the French Revolution certainly made a lot of people who were powerful very, very worried about their existence.
I suppose Elon Musk could invent a machine that chops his own head off electronically before the mob arrives.
You know much more about this than I do.
Yeah.
The Trump administration, almost every week, snatch people right off the streets for political speech. The latest, most chilling example happened yesterday outside Boston, when a PhD student and Fulbright scholar at Tufts University, in this country on a student visa from Turkey, totally legal, obviously, was taken off a residential street in Somerville, Massachusetts at 5:15 p.m. yesterday. Ramesa Ozturk had just left her apartment when she's approached by a guy in a dark hoodie and hat who then grabs her hands. You can see and hear how upset and scared she is, as an officer finally pulls out a badge and appears to identify himself as law enforcement. She is quickly surrounded by half a dozen, I guess, cops, all in street clothes, covering their faces with masks. They take her cell phone. They physically remove her backpack. She is then handcuffed as a bystander films and asks how anyone is supposed to know these people are police.
Is covering your faces? You want to take those masks off? Is this a kidnapping? Yeah, you don't look like it. Why are you hiding your faces?
I'm here outside Fox News at the very spot where Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth threw an axe that hit a member of a marching band on live television.
Axe. Who's going to win this battle with the lumberjack? That's
It was truly a historic moment and proof that we are living in the dumbest time.
To give some credit to the American people that they're somewhat intelligent and that they know the difference between an opinion show and a news show.
Yeah.
You're cynical. Look at that. Yeah.
I am cynical because,
You think we're bad for America? You think I'm bad for America?
Yeah.
You do?
In the long haul, I think you
Really?
and all these opinion
That's
shows...
sad, Ted.
No, you know why?
That's sad.
Because you're very good at what you do and because you have attracted a significantly
You
more
are selling the
influential...
American
let me
people
finish the
short.
Let me finish the sentence
I'm
before
listening.
you do that.
With all due respect.
Yes.
Take the floor.
You have attracted people who are determined that ideology is more important than facts.
When Mike Johnson
was asked what specific crime Khalil committed, this was his response.
If you are on a student visa and you're in America, and you're an aspiring young terrorist who wants to prey upon your Jewish classmates, you're going home. We're going to arrest your tail, and we're going to send you home where you belong.
Okay, first, he's not on a student visa anymore. He has a green card. Second, aspiring young terrorist would be a great band name, but it's a pretty awful thing to call someone who engaged in protected protest. And finally, if you're going to do something this offensive, don't get cute about it. Just say, we're going to arrest your ass like a fucking adult. And it's not just Johnson making big claims about Khalil without support. The Department of Homeland Security, for instance, claimed he led activities aligned to Hamas. But when a DHS official was asked to back up that assertion by NPR, he had shockingly little in response.
So how did he support Hamas? Exactly what did he do?
Well, I think you could see it on TV, right? It's, this is somebody that, we've invited and allowed the student to come into the country, and he's put himself in the middle of the process to basically pro-Palestinian activity.
Okay, first, when the question is about providing support for Hamas and the answer is pro-Palestinian activity, you are already telling on yourself. And it is not great when your best evidence is, I think you can see it on TV, right?
Whenever he is cornered and forced to face even the smallest of consequences for his own mendacity and scheming, he reverts to the greatest refuge of scoundrels. As Shaggy would say, it wasn't me. I did nothing wrong. I just showed up. They're the ones who went crazy. This man who constantly professes to be your champion, who says they're going to have to go through him to get to you, will always, when the boat is going down, be the first into the lifeboats, because in that moment he will always say the same thing. I didn't know anything about it. I was just told to show up for a cruise, even though everybody knows he was the fucking captain of the ship.
Made it clear that Trump is a sociopath who poses a threat not just to the U.S., but to the entire world. Trump is an impulsive, immature, incompetent person who, when in the position of ultimate power, would easily slide into the role of tyrant. His sociopathic characteristics are undeniable and present a profound threat to democracy. He is profoundly an evil man exhibiting malignant narcissism. And, if left unchecked, his pathological narcissism could lead to World War III.
Nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. They give us nothing.
One of the brightest lights after the darkness of 9/11 came from a remote town.
Nearly 7,000 passengers and crew members suddenly found themselves landing in the tiny town of Gander in Newfoundland.
They didn't have to do what they did for us. They could have just looked the other way, but they didn't.
Canadians are joining the fights against the LA wildfires.
Crews from Canada rushed in to help and are making a considerable effort.
Canada has secretly helped 6 American diplomats escape from Iran.
The idea that Canada is only taking from the United States is fundamentally wrong.
When the U.S. went into Afghanistan, Canada was stationed in one of the most dangerous areas.
Nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. They give us nothing.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Remember that the United States and Europe combined is 800 million people. That's 1/10 of the world population. There's the rest of the 90% of the world population that wants China's products, that wants China's trade relations, that wants to be part of the Belt and Road Initiative. So my sadness is that the United States is mismanaging its economy, but this is not really going to hurt China because China's relations are with all the rest of the world. The United States is just 4% of the world population, and that means that if the U.S. is stupid enough to block trade with the rest of the world, China will be smart enough to open trade widely with all the rest of the world. And this is going to be for the mutual benefit of China and the rest of the world. The United States wants to isolate itself too bad for them. This isn't going to change how we behave with the rest of the world. China should say, we are here to support an open trading system, and we plan to expand trade with all the other parts of the world.
We know that we're not meant to be on these little Indian reserves. Like my father said, systemic impoverishment is one of the biggest human rights weapons that they have. It's easier to fight us when we're poor. And when we don't have no land, when we just have 0.2% of the land, which is the Indian reserves, we're going to remain poor. And that's the human rights weapon that the Canadian government has been dependent on and has used and executed against us. And now we're saying no more, we're going to leave these Indian reserves. So now this weapon is injunctions, and we're hoping that through our work and advocacy, that our children aren't going to have to deal with the same reality of them using injunctions to remove us.
I wake up at 6 a.m. ready to do some deporting. After that, I joined the army to help fight Greenland. Maybe you haven't heard, but America is 2-0 in world wars. At 10 a.m., I brush up on my American geography. At 11 a.m., I head over to Mount Rushmore. Wow, what a beautiful monument. After that, I turn on the news to relax.
Breaking news, eggs now $30.
This just in, plane crashes,
just
100
in,
deaths.
inflation up 15%.
At 12 p.m., I pledge my allegiance to the President of the United States. At 3 p.m., I cancel my family's doctor's appointment. Vaccines are for weak people. At 3:01, my son gets smallpox. And at 3:02, we hold a memorial for little Timmy. If only there was some way this could have all been avoided. After that, I celebrate America being the best country on earth. We may be 46th in life expectancy, 14th in education, 35th in income equality, and 23rd in happiness, but we're number 1 in freedom. Oh, we're actually ranked 26th. At 9 p.m., I put on my night vision goggles and get ready to invade Canada. And that's my day.